And we are here. Thank you guys. We are back for another episode of the Be Unshakable podcast. And we are here on the Unshakable CEO Lounge. And I'm so excited to have Dr. Lendra here. Dr. Lendra is doing some amazing things. And here on the CEO Lounge, what we do, we focus on high achieving CEOs that are making moves, that are definitely pushing past resilience, doing things above and beyond, and really stepping out on faith and getting it done. And so I'm excited to have Dr. Lendra here. And so, Dr. Lendra, tell everybody, who are you?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so appreciative to be able to share your platform. I love just connecting and collaborating with women such as yourself, especially nurses, to see like everything that we're doing in this environment, and it's unshakable. So you have the perfect, really, it's unshakable. So I love that. And who I am, hello everyone, I'm Dr. Lendra James. I'm a nurse by profession, been a nurse for over over 22 years now at this point, and worked across the country, worked in many different areas of nursing, worked my way up to nursing leadership, achieved my doctorate degree. And then I decided to shift my purpose, right? I did all the things, right? When we say did all the things, I worked in a lot of different areas. I achieved certifications, achieved my doctorate degree, worked in leadership. And as in leadership, when we say we did all the things, we opened programs, closed programs, created policies, right? Hiring, terminations, all of the things, right? We did all the things. And then COVID happened and I shifted my purpose. And I shifted my purpose for more of self-care advocacy and health promotion. And that was really for me, right? When we think about burnout and when we think about just the bureaucracy of everything that takes place in the healthcare system. And something that I talk about a lot is politics. And I talk about that because healthcare is so political. And I'll come back to what I mean by that. Healthcare is so political in such that, there's a lot of bureaucracy that goes on behind the scenes, and a lot of decisions are made politically, and hence why we get the saying profit over patients, right? And so that's something that I've been seeing. I've been seeing that for some time. I was seeing that, and I found that I was no longer aligning with the mission and the visions of organizations. So I started my own business. And I shifted my purpose to start my own business, like I said, for healthcare, self-care advocacy for myself. And I started a wellness business. My wellness business is Premier Infusions and Wellness. We offer IV hydration vitamin therapy, and that's how it started. It started as just that, me providing concierge services, and then we've expanded to weight loss services. We've introduced post-op concierge services and just wellness services. And part of that wellness services is helping you to not only break through from burnout, but also to connect with organizations. So we partner with businesses and organizations to really help to bridge that gap with employer and employees so that one, employers can retain their employees through wellness services, through helping to identify why they're leaving, right? And to be strategic about keeping your employees happy. And in the process of all of that, I launched a consulting business. So I launched a consulting business because I started getting calls or messages from other nurses asking me like, how did you start your business? How did you do that? And I started, showing them and helping them to start their own businesses as well. And before you know it, I have a coaching and mentoring program where I consult and help other nurses through to start their business. So I basically empower, I should say, high achieving nurses and nurse leaders to break through from burnout and achieve financial independence. And I do that through courses, mentorship, and events like the Health Wealth Expo Live Summit, which we could definitely get into more about that. So I'll stop there because I know I said a lot.
Nice. So that's amazing because I identify with your story so much, because that was one of the reasons why I walked away, because I didn't feel that I aligned anymore with the so-called mission and vision of the of the entity that I was working for. And when there's a misalignment, it's like you can't stay there and be unhappy and be disgruntled. And it's really recognizing that it's time to bet on you and know that I'm going to take this chance. I'm going to do what I need to do, whatever that is. But at least having the courage to walk away is the first step. So if anybody here has ever felt they had to deal with politics or anything in the workplace, comment, let us know in the chat, let us know, comment, because I just want to make sure that we're not by ourselves here where we feel like there's a lot of bureaucracy, especially in the healthcare space. And I'm sure it's across multi-industries. But I thank you for bringing that to light, because there may be someone listening right now that's feeling that at this moment and don't know what to do or don't have the faith. And we are here to show you that, yes, there are options. There are different things that you can do, whether you're in nursing or whatever career that you're in. You can make a decision that can change your life trajectory forever because you just made a decision to bet on yourself. And that's what Dr. Lendra is sharing right now. That's what we both did as healthcare professionals, practitioners. And look, sky is the limit. And so now let's talk about this pivot, because you pivoted from leadership, which I feel in business is such a transferable skill, because once you land into entrepreneurship, in order for you to grow and scale, you have to be a leader. You have to lead other people. And actually, we were just talking about that before we hit the live button, about people and who we have and what's the best way and who's the right fit to help us with all of that. And it's the same thing we did in the nursing space, in the leadership space. Who is the right fit to help lead the other nurses, lead the other staff? And so how is that pivot for you? Because it's not easy to just say, I'm going to start my own business. What was that like? What was that moment like?
For me, and it's probably different for everyone. And to your point, someone listening, they are saying that because you feel like you're alone. And it's so important. And I'm glad that you mentioned when you said you're not alone, because you're not. Because for me, I thought I was too. I'm like, am I weak? Like, am I going through something?
Yeah,
What is happening? But it was just, we get so programmed to believe that all we can do is we go to school, right? And you're supposed to get that next certification. You're supposed to get that next degree. You're supposed to, that's all you can do is nurse. And nursing is be a clinician. And no one introduces the idea of being your own boss, right? Being that nurse CEO or being your own CNO. I strive to be a CNO. Like, that was one of my goals. And then I got there because my last position, I reported directly to the CNO. So my next role would have been, or could have been, a CNO role, but I just no longer had that desire or aspire to be that. And now I'm the CNO and CEO of my own business. And so my pivot initially was me just walking away from me, right? That was my pivot initially. Initially, my pivot was, you know what? I'm done here. Like, I can't see myself continuing to be the go-between, so to speak, right? Being asked to do things that I knew, for me, felt that they were morally and ethically wrong, right? It just wasn't the right thing to do. So it wasn't so much of the responsibility, because my units, they stayed, patient experience, we won that, right? Fall reductions, we did that, right? It wasn't so much the responsibility. A lot of it came from the unrealistic expectations and the unethical ask. And for me, again, I can't, and for so long we bought into that. We bought into what this is the way, it has to be. You just have to play along. You got to play the game. And then I decided to choose me. So my pivot was me choosing me. And when I walked away initially, I wasn't sure what else I was going to do, because nursing was all I knew, right? And it is you betting on you, because I knew, yes, nursing was all I knew, but if nursing is asking me to do something that I felt that wasn't of faith, right? I'm a woman of faith. So if I felt like it was something that was not aligning with me spiritually, or if it wasn't aligning with me or morally or ethically, it wasn't a place where I needed to be. But I had been in this for so long. And again, I love doing it. Like, I love, people who I worked with, people I grew up in nursing with. I love doing it. Like, I still can call people who we started back in 2001 together. So these are the type of relationships that I built, but I got to a point where, to your point, I had to choose me. So I walked away, and for about maybe 4 months or so, I walked around not knowing, just staying prayerful, and just, and just took that time, honestly, to identify who I was and say,
Yeah.
you know what, there's so much. And then I just started to get the visions of what I could see and what I wanted to do. When I started getting calls from, friends and family who would need things. And I basically started doing patient care advocacy and was
Mhm.
consulting and didn't realize that I was consulting.
Yeah.
And I wrote a book through all of this. And I
Mhm.
started writing a book, and I wrote a book called Confessions of a Nurse Executive. And the
Mm.
subtitle was, or is, The Conscious and Unconscious Bias in Healthcare. Because there's
Mm.
a lot of bias going on. So when we talk about and look at what's happening politically right now, and this is why when I say on my podcast, I talk about politics on my podcast. Not that it's a political podcast, but I do introduce some of the topics, like what we see, all of the Health and Human Services layoffs,
Yeah.
right? The removal of DEI, right? Like this is very, there's no strategy behind it, and it doesn't really make sense. But these are political moves that are being made because, there's this is a chess game right now. Like they're
Mhm.
playing chess, right? This isn't checkers. And if you're not awake, you're going to miss exactly what's happening, and you're going to miss your opportunity, because there is a lot of, when we talk about bias, there's a lot of systemic racism that takes place, right?
Mm.
There's a systemic bias that goes on in healthcare. So this is my connection when I talked about the conscious and unconscious bias in healthcare. And I talk about that in my book, and I did a book launch.
Mhm.
And during the book launch, we got into a lot of discussions surrounding health and wealth and bias in healthcare. And from there, the Health and Wealth Expo was curated because
Mhm.
there were a lot of people who could connect with the treatment that they had dealt with while hospitalized, whether it was them, whether it was a family member, whether they worked in the healthcare environment. There were a
Mhm.
lot of people who could connect with the bias that takes place. And it really happens. And to give you an example, and I've shared this before, like The Resident is like my new favorite show. It's a show on Netflix. And
Mhm.
there was an episode where a young lady died, African American lady. She died after giving birth. And the episode was inspired by a true story.
Right.
And the young lady, she died after giving childbirth. And the resident could see that the treatment that she gave, and this was the picture that was painted in the episode, the treatment that she was given, like no one took her concerns, her
Mm.
pain, no one really paid attention to what was happening. And unfortunately, things like this happen far too often in the healthcare system. Now, this was a TV show, again, inspired by a true story. But unfortunately, things like this do happen. If you ask your friends and neighbors, they'll tell you about how long they waited. They'll tell you about how when they go to the doctor doesn't take their concerns seriously. So these were the type of, when again, and this is why another reason why I wrote my book. And the book has just really blossomed or had a chain reaction to, and has led to so many other great things that we're doing for the community and for nurses, and to empower nurses as well.
Nice. And so that helps me transition to the Health and Wealth Expo because you are the founder and the visionary behind the Health and Wealth Expo. And so this is the second year, right? And you've had multiple events. You've had a lot of different summits and so on, but it's an in-person conference, and it's happening this year. It's happening in New Jersey. But tell us about the Health and Wealth Expo and why it's so important that it's not just a conference, because we know a lot of people, if they do, a lot of entrepreneurs that do conferences, we know that a lot of times the cost is really not about making money per se,
Mhm.
because you kind of just like even out. However, if you have an offer or you're doing, presenting from the stage and you're making sales, that's where you see the big bucks. But for this Health and Wealth Expo, tell us about the movement. Like, what is it that makes this different from any other conference?
You know what? That's a great question. So the Health and Wealth Expo, like I mentioned, that was actually inspired from, or it was really inspired from the book that I made. And it was really to help empower nurses, right? So when you talk about
Mhm.
inspiration, education, and empowerment, it was really to help, because I said, you know what, more nurses need to know about this. If I can shift my purpose into being an entrepreneur, into being able to help the community, to be able to blend health and wealth. That's what I wanted to do. So when we talk about the Health and Wealth Expo, we started it virtually. So the first virtual event, because a lot of the conversation was, during, it was like, we have to do this again. We have to do it again. I said,
Mm-hmm.
well, okay, well, let's do it virtually. Right. So the first Health and Wealth Expo was a virtual summit, and we had different experts talking about wellness, talking about mental health. We talked about how to start nurse-owned businesses. We talked about ebook writing, because we all have a book in us. Like, that could be a whole another podcast episode, right? We all have a book in us, and there's something that we can write and we can share our stories. So we talked about ebook writing. Like I said, mental health. We talked about starting businesses. We had an attorney come on and talk about, the structure, the format, and structuring your businesses, I should say. And that went over really, really well. And from there, again, we were asked to, host another one. And so we did the
Mm-hmm.
first in-person summit in Maryland at the National Harbor. And that was really bringing things full circle, because we had the book launch was in DC. So we're coming back to Maryland, and having the first in-person summit at the National Harbor was really about bringing it full circle.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be held in New Jersey, May 15th and 16th. And because I'm a Jersey girl, so because I'm from New Jersey, that's why it's happening in New Jersey. And again, it's going to be a 2-day event, and it's helping. And again, just going back to the roots, right? I left the healthcare setting because of bias and burnout, right? And that's what I do. I empower high achieving nurses and nurse leaders to break through from that burnout, right? And achieve financial independence. And the Health and Wealth Expo is to help you to do just that, because we're always, again, and I think I mentioned this, we're programmed to think, go to school for
Mm-hmm.
nursing, get that clinical job, be a clinician, okay, be a nurse practitioner. But no one talks to us about starting a business or how else we can monetize our expertise. No one gives us that financial education. Tell me, what does my 403B mean? What does my 401k look like? What's happening with that? And that's something that we're actually going to be talking about at the expo. We have a financial expert who's going to be talking about those, your trading options. And someone else is going to be giving also additional financial education, talking about your retirements and your savings. And, foundationally, we're also going to be talking about how to monetize your expertise. You're actually going to be talking about nurse
Yeah.
business development, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nurse business
Yeah, I'm
development.
excited. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have Dr. Helen Fossum is going to be talking about medical writing. You can have an entire business talking about medical writing.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about medical writing, when you go to the doctor's office and you see those brochures,
Mm-hmm.
or when you go to different clinics and you see, that's a medical writer gets paid to do that. So you can have a contract and get paid a nice amount. And nurses, I know we think in hourly, right? So you can make $90 or $250 an hour. But think about a contract. And Narissa, I know you know what contracts can look like. Just having that contract, right? So, and you can make good money off of that. You can raise your
Good
family.
5 figures, easy.
Easy. We're going to talk about how to start. Dr. Linda Logan is going to be talking about how to start a mental health practice as a nurse practitioner. She's gone from $0 to 50K months.
Yeah.
Right. We have someone who's going to be giving a business plan workshop. So not only are you attending, and that's why I said this is not just a conference, you're going to be walking away with things. You're going to be walking away with a business plan. Right. We have we also have submitted for CEs. So 14.5 CEs that you're going to receive, right, for attending. So you're going to walk away with things. So you're going to and then we have the American IV. I can go on and on. We have the American IV Association. They're going to be there, and they have legal counsel who's going to be, again, providing those step-by-steps of what you need to know about how to make sure your business is structured properly, looking at those 503As and 503Bs, things that people, you don't necessarily, you're going to have this all in one place. So, so for me, when I think of conferences, and listen, I see beautiful conferences put on. One of the differences with our summit is that you're not just coming to be inspired, right? You're not just coming to be empowered, you're coming to be educated, and you're going to walk away with something. So you're going to walk away with, like I said, a business plan with CEs. You're going to walk away with the opportunity to have mentorship, right? The opportunity to have community.
Yeah.
So you're walking away with these type of things. You're not just, a lot of times I go to different events and I sit there and I hear people, they share these stories, and it's great. I mean, it's great. They share these very empowering stories, but then what's next? Right? like what else? And then you leave wanting more, and you leave feeling empowered. Don't get me wrong, you leave feeling inspired. But that's one of the differences with our conference. We have an entire vendor marketplace where people can still connect, and we're blending health and wealth. And that's the other thing. And I think I didn't mention it. We're going to be talking about the mental aspect of it, the wellness aspect of it. So everyone wants to call the Health and Wealth Expo a Health and Wellness Expo, but it's the Health and Wealth Expo. And we blend the health and the wellness and in health, if that makes sense. Did I say that right?
Yep,
we blend the wellness aspect and the health aspect. So we blend all of that together. So and then we talk about wealth, because we want nurses, healthcare professionals, we want you to really start thinking about your wealth strategies, right? How are you going to build that generational wealth? How are you going to keep that wealth for your family, for your generations and your generations to come? Because right now, the way things are looking in healthcare, there's so many uncertainties, right? So we want to, and how you become certain is that you bet on you. And when you bet on you, you can position yourself better. We go out and don't get me wrong, you have a huge market, a huge percentage of people who they're fine with the W-2. They're fine with working as a clinician and going to work. And listen, I'm happy for you. And I want you to do what's comfortable for you. But I also want you to know there's an entire culture and community out here that needs what you have to offer. We all have a skill within us. We all have an expertise within us that we can really utilize and help someone else. And it doesn't just have to be, why continue to stress yourself and let someone tell you when you can go on vacation with your family, right? When you can take a holiday off, or, when you can attend a conference like the Health and Wealth Expo. Right? So this is about you positioning you, and this is about you being in the rooms and networking with the right people. Because if you continue to stay in the break room, or you continue to stay in that environment, you're never exposed to everything else that you can be exposed to. That because one decision, we're all one decision away from making a decision that can change the trajectory of our lives.
Absolutely. And so you mentioned that keyword uncertainty. And so there is a lot of uncertainty right now in the political space, and a lot of people who've been riffed, job opportunities. What you once thought was so secure is not feeling as secure as it once felt. And so as far as uncertainty, I'm just digging a little deep. Were you experiencing any uncertainty, any fears and doubts when you said, I'm going to do this conference? Because I want to tap into that, because people think, oh, you just did this conference and it was just like, boop. I don't want to paint that picture. I want to really tell people, like, what did you experience? What were you thinking about? Because I know it's scary. And how did you put past that? Because that's what makes you unshakable in your vision, to actually push forward and say, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do this conference. I'm going to take it in person, from virtual to in person. Then 2 days, like, you've been doing all the things, and I'm sure it's been scary. So I just want to tap into that. How did you embrace and uncover and, overcome all of that?
That's actually a great question. I honestly, it was a vision that was put into me. And I told you I'm a woman of faith, and I believe in following orders from my higher power, right? And when I say that because the first in-person event, I organized it in like 8 weeks. So I didn't give myself time to be afraid to do it. It was, I'm someone who believe in, if something is put inside of you to do it, we have to follow it. I think far too often we stop and we second guess. And when we start to second guess, it's like, then before we know it, no, I can never do that. No, never mind. You know what? Nope, not doing it. And it wasn't until, I think it was probably after my first in-person event, I didn't realize that I had put the event together in a short period of time. And and I think it was probably Amanda who came to me. Amanda's on the planning committee, and and I was sharing with her, and she was like, "That's all." She's like, sometimes people do these things in like a year,
Yeah.
and I had really never thought about it, and I didn't really consult with anyone on the first one. It was just something that I wanted to do, and I really, really, and honestly, I did it with me and my virtual assistant.
Go away. Yes, to a
So
good
now
VA.
this one, we have a whole planning committee, but I'm someone who I don't let fear stop me, because
Yeah.
fear, right? Fear is, to me, that it's the root that really, really disempowers us. And if we allow fear to say, you know what, nothing, I can't do this. Why can't you? If the thought was put into your mind to do it, you can. And I think that's a huge mindset, right? It's a huge mindset shift that needs to occur when we talk about growth mindset and limited mindsets. Being one with a growth mindset is one who's, the saying, your glass is half full. You have to
Yeah.
keep your glass half full and know that, again, if the thought was put into your mind to do it, if you had the vision to do it, follow through with it. Just
Yeah.
like when I think about going back for my DNP, I put that off, right? Because I put off going back for my BSN. I started as an associate degree nurse, and I put off going for my BSN because I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. But it kept coming back around. It kept
Yeah.
coming back around. It was coming around through work. It was coming around. Eventually, I did it. Then I said, oh, I'm not going back again. Right? Before you know it, now I'm at my graduate degree, right? Oh,
Yeah.
this is it. No, this is it. No more. Before you know it, now I'm going back for my doctorate, right? So I say all that to say, we can't let fear stop us.
Yeah.
And I say that because some of that was fear for me, because I know what I went through with the first with the first nursing degree. We talk about the NCLEX. I didn't want any more NCLEX. I didn't want any more exams. But I say
Whew.
that to say, and I use this and I laugh, we laugh. But again, I say all this to say, fear should not be what stops you when you have a
Yeah.
vision, especially when you have a vision with something that that can change the lives of someone, even if it's just one person. You never know how that one person can affect 100, right? And that,
Absolutely.
and then it just goes from there. That 100 turns into 1,000 and 10,000. So fear should never ever be what stops you from doing what you have to do.
Absolutely. And this is I've been speaking to some amazing women here at the Unshakable CEO Lounge for the Be Unshakable podcast. And so far, I'm finding a common theme, and that word is courage. When you have that vision, when you know this is what you're assigned to do, it's like you can't even waste a minute on being fearful. You just have to go full force ahead, and you'd be
Mhm.
surprised how doors are open. I always say, God don't bless your steps unless you take them. And
Amen.
so it's the courage thing that I'm seeing as a common theme for women to being unshakable and being successful and moving forward. So thank you for your courage. Now tell everybody, how can we get tickets to this expo? Again, when is it? Where is it? Why they need to be there? And I know there's vendor spots available too. So please share, because you want to make sure that we have the people, give people opportunities to not only receive, but also be a vendor, position your business as well, and get into the room to receive as well.
Absolutely. So May 15th and 16th is going to be in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. You can log on to healthandwealthexpolive.com, and you can register for this 2-day event. And we have a meet and greet that's taking place on May 14th. So when you register, you have an opportunity to get access to the meet and greet. You will also receive I think you're going to receive 2 gifts. One is going to be the ebook, Escape Burnout and Build a Six-Figure Business, and the other is a Nurse Wealth Blueprint. So when you register, so you'll get both of those. To your point, there's also going to be a pitch competition. Did I say that? I hope I did. I
No,
hope
I
I
forgot.
mentioned this,
Yes, a
because
pitch
I am
competition.
so excited about this pitch competition. So your registration is your entry to the pitch competition. So the pitch competition will be going on both days. Will happen on the 15th and 16th, and the winner will be announced on the 16th. And listen, you're going to get a cash prize. So who couldn't use cash money for their business that they can use for marketing, for equipment,
Yeah.
for other resources to just really help get your business business out there. And you're the runner-up is going to receive mentorship, the opportunity for mentorship community. So I'm just really excited about that. So it's going to be a whole judges. It's going to be really official. and,
Right.
and to your point about the vendor opportunities, listen, take advantage of getting in front of an audience to really showcase your services. We are looking for health, wealth, and wellness business owners. I welcome small businesses. I welcome the YMCAs. I'm actually need to follow up with them. So if you're watching YMWCA, but we welcome that. I say this to say we welcome that. If you are a health, wealth, or a wellness business, we welcome you to be a vendor. Even beauty. I was talking to a young lady yesterday. She does beauty and cosmetics. People don't. That's health. That's wellness,
Yeah, that's
right? When we
wellness
think
for sure.
about right,
You
because
look
that's
good and feel
self-care.
good. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's self-care. And that's what this expo is about. This expo is about self-care advocacy, health promotion. We have Justin Grant, who is the author of Company Men, a wellness guide for Black men in corporate America. He's going to be looking at hustle culture. He's going to be talking about hustle culture and, what wealth looks like, or what health, I should say, should look like in our community. We have Dr. Danielle McCamey. She's our other keynote speaker. She is the president and founder of DMPs of Color, right? We're talking about her, what she went through, right? Why she even founded DMPs of Color, sharing her story. So it's going to be very, very, and at the end of it, it's all about self-care, you choosing you, health promotion, and then what you can do to help with health promotion in your community. And a lot of that is you starting your own business, and let me just preface this by saying, you don't necessarily have to be a business owner, right? You don't necessarily have to say, what, I want to start a business. Maybe you just want to do something on the side where you just want to be able to help the community. We're helping you to be able to do just that, because some of us, just by starting mentorship, by me mentoring other nurses and showing them how to start their own businesses, this is how my business has now, really, really, elevated. So I went from being an owner of a wellness business, Premier Infusions and Wellness, to DLJames Consulting, Dr. Lendra James Consulting. And my consulting business is where I speak, where I host my podcast, where I also, help and consult with other nurses and other women entrepreneurs as well, because I'm also helping with NASDAQ, right? So I'm now a cornerstone mentor with NASDAQ, and those are women entrepreneurs as well. But again, I say all this to say the Health and Wealth Expo 2-day live summit in person. We are ready and looking for you to join us, and we can't wait to see you on May 15th and 16th. Please register at healthandwealthexpolive.com, and we can't wait to see you there.
Yay. Thank you so much, Dr. Lendra. Thank you for all the nuggets you shared. I hope this landed well with everyone. Again, share this broadcast. Make sure you get your ticket if you're in the Jersey area. Or listen, there's even hotel blocks. Go to the website, travel, get out, get into a new location, meet new people. Come on out. Get to the Health and Wealth Expo. Bring someone. If you're a vendor, secure your vendor table. This is an opportunity for you to place your business in front of so many people as well. Tons of opportunity. And this is the season. This is the time to really make sure that you are anchoring your business with the right foundation. So again, come get the tools, get the opportunity, and then be unshakable in the process. So thank you guys for tuning in. Tune in for our next episode. And again, thank you, Dr. Lendra. It was such a pleasure having you. And I'll see you guys again. Take care.
Bye.